Hello students, welcome back. Now we are in week 3 and for this week our topic would be pollination. So what is pollination? Pollination is actually the movement of pollen from the stamen of a flower to the stigma of the same kind of flower. Okay? Plants produce seeds in order to reproduce. So to make a seed, a flower must be pollinated. Pollens are made by the male part of the plant, which is called the stamen. The pollen needs to get to the female part of the plant, which is called the stigma. This diagram shows you the pollination process with the pollinator, the bee. So the pollen grains from the anther is taken by the bee, the pollinator, and dropped onto the stigma of the other plant. So this is the pollination process. So there are two main ways that a pollen can be moved, either by insects or by wind. So for pollination by insects, okay, have you noticed insects like bees and butterflies, or maybe some other insects as well? They will be flying on the flowers. So these are the insects that we call them pollinators. Certain insects are attracted to certain types of flowers. For example, butterflies like to visit flowers that are big and they have lots of nectar. Nectar is a kind of sweet liquid. Okay. These pollinators, the bee and the butterflies, are attracted to certain types of flowers, especially those who are brightly flowers that are brightly colored. The petals are bright. They have scent. The flowers produce nectar because nectar is a kind of food for the insect. Okay, and some flowers even have marks on the petals, so it can guide the insect to the nectar that is inside the flower. Okay, this slide shows you the pollination process. Now let me explain. The flower's petals, bright colors and fragrant scents attract the insect. The insect arrive on the flower to collect the nectar. This nectar is a sweet liquid which makes a perfect insect food. Now, as the insect is gathering the nectar, the insect will rub itself against the anther in the plant, which rubs the pollen onto the insect. Now, once the insect is done feeding on the flower's nectar, it gets hungry and gets attracted to another bright flower. So eventually, this pollinator, the insect, will be releasing the pollen to the other plant. In wind pollination, the pollen are blown by the wind from the anthers to the stigmas of other flowers. Okay, usually here they won't in wind plants that are pollinated by winds will not have any insects involved. They do not need any insects, so they'll be less colorful. For example, grass, paddy fields, they are wind pollinated, so they are not attractive to the eye of the insect. So plants that are pollinated by wind have this adaptation. Their petals are small and they are not bright in color. They do not have nectar and they do not have any scent. They are smooth and light, which means they can be blown away easily by the wind. So the question comes, why must flowers be pollinated? Plants reproduce by making seeds. The pollen and eggs join to make the seed in a process called fertilization. Pollination brings pollen from the male anther to the female stigma. This allows the eggs to be fertilized and seeds to form. Fertilization happens in the flower's ovary. Fertilization only happens if the pollen and the eggs are from the same kind of flower. So Pollination is important to maintain the type of the flower ongoing. Okay. So once the egg is fertilized, the petals and the stamens of the flower will die. The ovary grows big and this becomes the fruit. So seeds will form inside the fruit and the fruit protects the seed. This helps them to be spread later.